Hey guys, this is Collin Moshman for CardsChat.com, and first, don't miss a second of me and Katie's exclusive content. Click on the blue CardsChat logo in the bottom right corner to subscribe, or the red subscribe button below the video. Today we have a $5 jackpot, same as a spin and go, that I played recently on Black Chip Poker. We're going to look at the whole game, we're going to talk strategy, so let's go ahead and get started. Hit a 4x multiplier and deal it out. So first thing we want to do is kind of get a line on our opponents as soon as we can and assess whether they're maniacs, they're more passive. And without any kind of reads, it would normally open down to about 10-8 offsuit and 10-6 suited on the button. Of course, we're going to be folding junk. Other hands that would open on the button would be down to, for example, King-8 offsuit. I wouldn't raise low offsuit kings. I'd raise any suited king. Here with Queen-Jack offsuit, we're getting 3-to-1 odds in position, so I would defend with any hand that isn't junk. And we flop top pair, so usually blind versus blind at a 25 blind effective stack. We're going to be pretty happy to get it in with top pair. So I bet if he were to, for example, make a big check raise, I would just get it all in here. And I'm going to keep on betting. A lot of the time he's going to have some kind of decent showdown value hand like pocket nines or ace king. And the 8, so if he is an 8, he beats us now, but he shouldn't have too many hands containing an 8 that he plays this way. And if he checks, I'm definitely going to bet for value. Now, interestingly, when he bets, I'm certainly not going to fold. Even if he were to move all in, I will call. And look at that, he's got a busted draw. The problem, though, with raising in that spot, and first, by the way, Queen 4 offsuit does not play well, even getting 5-to-1 pot odds. I'm going to be folding there. Look at this. So big blind jams, button calls. What a winner. Wow, the nut flush loses to a flop set that hits a full house. Two absolute monsters on that board. Anyway, what I was going to say, though, with the Queen-Jack offsuit at the river, if I raise him and he is a better hand than my top pair, he's going to call, and most worst hands are going to fold. So I just call as a bluff catch at that point. I don't think that I do well when I raise against his calling range. So here we have bottom pair, which is usually going to be the best hand. Checking and betting are both fine. A lot of the time what I do here is I bet, which gives me the flexibility of checking back turn or betting it. So now I'm definitely going to be checking back this turn, just playing a small pot. And interestingly, so he goes in the tank here, and he goes full pot. So he's not repping all that much. Like if he has 6, for example, he's probably not going to bet full pot. So pretty much he has an ace, a 10, or better than that. And he turned to set kind of randomly. But I don't think that's about as a fist pump, but he seems like he might be kind of a looser or more spewy player. I'm getting 2-to-1 pot odds. I beat a bluff, and for that reason I elect to call. King Queen, we move all in, blind versus blind for 13 blinds. Here with Ace King suited, we're hoping to get action. And the big blind, again, pausing to consider before calling. And this is a decent flop for us. Again, betting and checking back are both okay options. Most of the time I'm going to check back here, though, because one, it's a very coordinated flop. I don't really want to get check raised, but I also have good showdown value. Ace King could be the best hand. I have a gut shot straight draw, 2 overcards, backdoor nut flush draw. And when I do check back this flop with a showdown value, I'm certainly not going to be folding turn. I could have the best hand still. I still have a lot of outs. But there's no point in betting this river. So we definitely have showdown value. We've seen our opponent's pretty aggressive. Sure enough, ace high does show down as the winner. So typically if I have decent showdown value and I can just check back in position, I'm normally going to do that. Our same nemesis one to our right makes the ISO shove with King Queen offsuit. He was correct to do that. And I'm pretty much, I'm looking forward to this heads-up match. Again, he seems like a little bit loose, and we're deep enough. We're basically even stacked with around 25 blind effective stack. So I'm going to be playing most hands on the button, just folding junk, raising most buttons. Here with ace 7, some of the time I would check a weak ace, but this is more of a mid ace. I'm definitely going to raise some of the time. Here I elect to attack his limp, and he calls. There is actually some merit to checking here. Ace high has showdown value, but a lot of the time the hands are just going to play a little bit easier when you put out the C-bet out of position. You can charge a 6-out draw that has about 25% equity against you. A hand like, Jack 9 actually is going to be over 25% to beat us. And he raises, which is a little bit surprising. You don't want a dry flop like this without too many draws. A lot of the time, if he does have us beat, particularly if he has a 10, he's just going to call. So I don't really buy this raise all that much. And I'm just going to go ahead and jam here. I think I have good fold equity. And when he calls, I'm usually going to have at least 3 outs to spike an ace, sometimes 6 outs when the 7 is good as well. But fortunately, he folds, and we win a pretty big pot without a fight. Queen Jack, I move all in. If I min raise and he were to jam on us, I'd probably have to call because of pot odds. So I would rather just move all in myself. And also these low ace hands, as well as low pocket pairs, are great move-in hands. So I'm going to be more inclined to shove those pre-flop instead of looking to play post. Here at 11 blinds, we can again move all in with Queen 7. And it looks like he may have tightened up slightly. Heads up. He jams here. But overall, I'm doing, I think, decently well, just raising a lot of buttons and staying aggressive. Usually I'm going to fold the low offsuit jack hands, Jack Deuce through Jack 4 offsuit, and play by Jack 5. Now this is a close spot with King Deuce. You could either move all in or make a small raise, or even limp is fine as well. But I make the small raise because he's been slightly tight from the big blind. He clicks it back. He makes that minimum 3-bet, which doesn't make too much sense to have a range for doing that. Here I'm definitely going to be checking back this flop. I've got some showdown value. I also don't want to get check raised, considering I have that showdown value as well as a backdoor nut flush draw. And my plan is just to check this down when it's a really interesting run out, because now, I have the best hand pretty much, unless he has an ace or a 9. But there are 2 aces out there, 2 9s out there, and it's just really tough for him to have better. So I value bet the king. And this is, I think, realistically the worst case that I'd chop it up. It's just, after he checks 3 times, it's almost impossible that he has me beat there. So I bet for value, just letting him decide, what worse hands he wants to call with. And I think those kind of thin value bets are really key when it's really, really difficult for your opponent to have a better hand the way it's played out. So kind of a fun one there. King Deuce, I think I'm considering a jam, but I go with a check, which I definitely prefer. And the reason for that is because, if you're having decent success chipping away at your opponent, you don't need to take a more long ball approach. So I'm just going to check. And a lot of the time I'll win a small pot with, king high or bottom pair. Here in this instance, the jack hits, he bets, and I'm just going to check fold and give up. Jack 4 would usually fold, but I'm going to continue to test a bit what I can get away with. Again, feeling that he might be giving up somewhat often pre-flop, but folding the Jack 4 offsuit is also completely fine. I'd be kind of loose to shove. I think if shoving it is profitable, then min-raising will be more profitable. So I have under 10 blinds. A lot of the time I would just move all in pre-flop. But I've min-raised recently at under 10 blinds, so I use that fact to then also min-raise a premium hand I want action. And it holds up, giving us the win. So a very fun game, and thanks very much for watching. This has been Collin Moshman for CardsChat.com.